So we're going to start our discussion of the positive normative distinction with the normative side. So the normative side is your what society should be. This is sometimes also called your policy goals. What do you want to achieve? Why do you want to change the economy? Why do you want this policy or that policy? What are your goals for a policy? So that's how it usually works. Now, obviously in the real world, we have very many goals, because goals come from our ethics, our heart, our culture, our background, our politics. It encompasses all of that. And people have different goals. Of course, we cannot encompass the goals of all humanity in all aspects of life. But let's think about some of the core goals that have emerged in economics in our policy discussions and our analysis. So that will give you an anchor to think about the different debates in terms of the different policy goals. And there are 5 goals. There can be more, and there can be sub-goals, but these 5 give you a good starting point. I'm going to just name them first, and then I'm going to talk through them. Efficiency, growth, stability. Give me a second, sorry. Growth, stability, equity, sustainability. Now, the order of these goals is not the same thing of the order of their importance. This is how they have emerged historically in our profession, but this does not mean that you personally or other economists, me personally, might not decide to highlight one of the other goals over, say, the one that's appearing at the top called efficiency. Right? These are just the 5 goals. And then you've got your own personal political vision, your own personal values, which you are going to use to say, what do I think we should prioritize in our policy? Should we do this? Should we do that? Should we do that? What should we do? So let's run through these. Efficiency in economics is a very specific concept. It simply means I can't improve the world without distribution, because there is no more waste. So if there is waste, I can use the wasted resources to help someone without taking something away from you, right? If you got $10, somebody else wants $5, and $5 is wasted resource, I can use those resources. Give me $5, you can still have your $10, right? But if $10 is the totality of what we have, then we're going to have to ask, how do we give this guy some $5? And we can't do it without taking something away from you, right? So efficiency is about whether a society is producing in a way that no resources are wasted. That's all, right? It's a very good goal, but it's a very specific goal, and it's not the only goal. Growth is the idea that here is another way we can give more stuff to people without distribution, without taking stuff from A and giving stuff to B. Bigger pie, more of everything. So think about going to buy a pizza. right? If you buy a small size pizza and there's 5 of you, there's going to be who gets how many slices. One way to solve the problem is to buy a bigger pizza, right? But growth, having more stuff in a society, producing more, requires specific interventions around technology and so on. And we have to think about how to produce. Are we doing this sustainably and so on? Now, efficiency and growth, stability. One of the things that we've learned, at least since the Great Depression, if not before, is that we live in a capitalist society. So that is going to be our focus. Markets and market products and so on. We're not going to look at peasant societies, and we're not going to look at feudalism and all of that. We're just going to look at capitalism. But stability is the idea that capitalism seems to be crisis prone. It seems to have booms and busts, and that it's actually really hard for people to be told, put up with not having a job for 10 years, we're going to have growth, and then 10 years later, you'll get a piece of the pie, right? So, as Joan Robinson once mentioned, using Alice in Wonderland, it's always jam yesterday and jam tomorrow, but never jam today, right? So, stability is the idea that we need to actually stabilize the economy, not have too much movement of high inflation, which is terrible, or high unemployment, which is terrible. Can we keep it in an even band? Can we keep it in a predictable range? Not too high, not too low, not a boom, not a bust, just predictable going along so that people can make decisions in their life. Stability is usually the focus of macroeconomics. Then there are 2 more goals. One is equity. Equity is the idea that, look, we cannot address what is happening in our society simply by efficiency and growth, because those two are assuming that we will all share equally from the benefits of efficiency or the benefits of growth. So it's not just what to produce and how to produce, it's also for whom to produce, right? And that we have seen that in the past decade or more, that the output, even though growth has been high, it hasn't been shared. So there is a lot of anxiety about why are wages not keeping up with inflation? Should we help the homeless? What's going on there? All of these crises of the economy around whether or not the solution is equity. And it could be equity at the level of equipping people, such as educational programs, or it could be equity at the level of direct policy, such as housing subsidies, right? So again, it depends on your policy goals and your analysis. And the final is sustainability. Now, obviously, there are more goals that I haven't included, but these are the main ones. Sustainability here specifically refers to ecological sustainability. So I'm not talking about whether you can sustain an economy culturally, politically, socially. Those questions come under efficiency, growth, stability, equity. All right? I am wondering about nature, very specifically, ecological sustainability. That is, when we embarked on our projects of efficiency and growth, at that time we didn't know much about our effect on the environment. But now more and more data has shown up that shows that our how to produce, the way in which we produce, not just what to produce, but how to produce, Are we fossil fuel dependent? Are we choosing technologies that are ecologically unsustainable? Should we go back to labor-intensive agricultural practices? Or should we continue to use high-tech, high-fertilizer? Right? So this question has now hit economics, because we have to make decisions which will affect nature. Because remember, resources, how a society decides to use its resources to make decisions about what, how, and for whom to produce. Resources includes nature. So we have to spend a lot of time thinking about that. And there is a whole field of economics, ecological economics, that is focused on that. So these are the values that currently animate discussions in economics. And these are the things we try and measure. These are the things we debate about what should our policy priority be. Should I focus more on this? Should I focus more on that? Should I focus more on this? Those are political debates. You can take any position on that, because politics is personal. I got mine and you got yours. So this is the normative side of economics. What are our policy goals? We're now going to shift to the positive side.